All right, guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man, Jay Will. So this is a video I'm doing. I'm probably going to label this underrated. Hashtag underrated for a number of reasons. This is the HTC Ultra. In just under 3 weeks, this phone will be 1 year old, 1 year old in my possession of use. And been using it sometimes I use these phones for a week straight or so, or I don't know, I'll just start using it a month straight. But I've been using this for a while. And since launch, obviously, I've used it a lot, but sometimes I've put this phone down to use other phones. And this is definitely hashtag underrated. When this phone first came out, wow, we've had this discussion before. Everybody said, oh gosh, skip this one, wasted space, all the nonsense. But when it turns out, though, this phone right here definitely is a winner in my book, and several other people out there who own the phone know that it's a winner. So it doesn't come with this perfect run, though. You know, they had a bad deal with releasing it at a bit of a high price tag, so the audience said. It released, I think, at like 750 or something like that when it first came out. Now it's down to less than half of that, brand new. You can actually find this phone for under $300 in most cases, brand new, all the colors. And this is 4 gigs of RAM, Snapdragon 821 with a 3000 milliamp hour battery, a beautiful 12 megapixel camera on the back, and a 5.7-inch Quad HD display, along with a secondary display up top that could be set to do whatever. So now I just have Eagle Nation and Jay Williams up there, but you can put whatever you want up there. You can use different apps up there. You just go into the secondary display, and you touch here to customize, and you can see all the different things. You can do contacts, upcoming events, apps, weather, whatever you want to do. You see it'll put the weather up there. It is just an all-around fantastic idea that they pretty much got from LG. So if you have multiple up there, you just swipe back and forth between the two, and you'll get your weather forecast or your contacts or your playlists or whatever you're doing up there. This is a Super LCD 5 capacitive touchscreen display, and it is absolutely fantastic. There's really not a lot to complain about this phone when it comes to today's market, because this is a flagship phone, and wow, it checks off a lot of boxes. So some people might say, hey, you need waterproofing, you need wireless charging, you need all these things, when in fact you do not actually need these. Now, this phone does not have Oreo yet, but there is a plan for it to jump to Oreo. HTC is supposed to be updating this phone to Oreo, but even if it doesn't get Oreo, I still actually like this phone, and because I have several phones that are a lot more than this, and they don't have Oreo either. So with that being said, this phone was kind of ahead of its time, or right on course with a lot of the features. But HTC backed themselves by coming out with the HTC U11 right after this. And that was kind of their response to me, to people who were saying this phone was not very good. And it was just because of the price tag. That's why everybody pretty much ragged on this phone, was because of the price tag. That happened with my Moto Z2 Force as well. It debuted at $750. The Essential phone debuted at $700 or whatever these prices are. Money definitely dictates how a person is going to decide whether they want a phone or not. You start comparing features, what other phones have and don't have, and then you end up having to decide. So now that this phone, I've been rocking with this phone since launch. I'm telling people, hey, it's a fantastic phone. Don't so much believe that you have to have all these different things. This thing has dual stereo speakers. It's got beautiful cameras. I actually was using this phone at one point to do a lot of recording on my channel. Again, it's a 5.7-inch Quad HD display. It does have Nougat on here still, 7.0, but again, they plan on updating that. There's a Sapphire Crystal version of this phone with 128 gigs onboard storage. This one has 64 gigs with 4 gigs of RAM, but there's a Sapphire version of this phone, which pretty much can't be scratched at all. And then you can take an SD card slot. The aperture is 1.8 on the rear, and it does have optical image stabilization. Some phones that release today are not meeting the standards of this phone. Well, right now I'm recording this video. I've decided to start using my phones again for recording every now and then, because I think a lot of people are like, man, Jay, that looks good. What phone is it? So if you see something like on the screen, you see right here, you see awesome, or you'll see Galaxy Note down there. That means that's the device I'm using, and this is in fact the Galaxy Note 8. But I want to switch cameras here, and I'm going to show you what I mean by telling you this phone is actually a really decent phone. Now remember, the Galaxy Note has dual 12 megapixel cameras, and this one has a single 12 megapixel camera. So let's switch the screen here, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to put the Galaxy Note down here and give you some footage of this phone doing some recording. Now here is the HTC U Ultra's 12 megapixel camera. How does this look? Looks fantastic to me. You can see the detail here, the difference from the Galaxy Note 8. Again, this is all audio from the HTC U Ultra. It's a great camera. This rear camera does extremely well. And remember, no external microphones being used here. You can use an external microphone with this phone, but it's probably better to just go ahead and use the microphones that are on board. So that's a quick video sample from the HTC HTC U Ultra. Now let's switch back. Now, I would say that that's some pretty good cameras there. And remember, this phone came out a year ago, and the audio quality is just as good, if not probably better than the Galaxy Note in some ways. You just be the judge. You take a look at that footage and you tell me what you think. But overall, though, I think this footage from this camera is fantastic. I could use this phone right here to run my YouTube channel with it. I could do it. The phone does record in 4K, and it also records in 1080p, obviously. I really enjoy using the cameras on these phones because, one other thing to mention is this phone does have high resolution audio. I forgot about that. And it has the, I turn off the high resolution audio because it takes to get that to work properly. It's going to take something, it doesn't play well on all formats. So, but nonetheless, I keep the high res audio turned off because I found out I just don't need it. But, this phone has auto HDR, high-res DAC also, Type-C, stereo speakers. I mean, it is just really nice. It's got laser autofocus, a dual LED tone flash. But for day-to-day use, naming off all those specs sound good. But for day-to-day use, this thing is awesome. I mean, I've heard people say, it's only got a 3,000 milliamp hour battery. The battery in this thing is fantastic. I don't have a problem with it. I don't see how a person could have a problem with it. It's a fantastic phone on battery. I get great battery life. I've been using this for the weekend, and battery is still good. Let me see what the battery is like right now. So I've just been doing some YouTube and things like that. So I got a couple hours of screen on time. I've been noticing that the battery is still strong on this phone. I'm able to pull down 5 to 6 hours of screen on time on a single charge. Right now, I've just been doing YouTube and getting some light usage, but I still got 2 hours of screen on time, pretty much with about 53% left. So that's really good. Considering this phone has such a large screen and a 3,000 milliamp hour battery, HTC goes with a kind of a stock overlay for theirs. And I actually have a skin on here because you can customize this phone like crazy. It has all these different themes and different wallpapers, and it is just fantastic to use. This is actually a wallpaper I downloaded, and then this theme, I downloaded it as well. The settings on here, very simple and easy to understand. It's just a good look. It's got the HTC companion. I don't really get into the AI thing. But this phone is only 8 millimeters thick. It comes in 3 or 4 different colors: a white, a pink, a sapphire blue, and this brilliant black. It's a good look. And I think this phone is definitely underrated for those reasons. You've got good battery life, you've got a beautiful screen, and now the price is down. And the fact that it has a Snapdragon 821, it's got Type-C, it's got fast charging 3.0, quick charge 3.0. There's a lot to like about this phone. More importantly, the cameras are fantastic. Cameras are important for people. Overall package, though, this is a complete package. And if you Google it or you search for yourself, I still get people that say, man, I got this phone now for under 300 pounds, or I got this phone for under $400. They're happy with it because it's performing like it's supposed to, and there's not much to complain about. This phone is good, and it can definitely rival some of the current flagships. Yeah, it's missing waterproofing, it's missing wireless charging, but I have all those things now, and I really don't focus on that. I don't really use it very often. Being able to plug in and for like 15 minutes and get a big boost in battery. It's really good. So with that being said, hashtag underrated. Do you feel that this phone is underrated in the tech community? Do you feel it got a fair shake? I think it didn't myself, and I think that a lot of people rode the wave. We've heard this story before. I think a lot of people just jumped on board with a couple people said online and said, yeah, that's what we're rolling with. Don't buy this phone. When in actuality, yeah, HTC kind of dropped the ball by releasing this phone and then turn around immediately a couple months later and releasing the U11 because the U11 had the latest processor. But I think with this phone was already built and in production. And then the 835 came out and they were like, we got to do something. So they definitely listened. You can find this phone dirt cheap in all the colors. And for what this phone is offering, definitely is a daily driven phone for a lot of people. You see, I got a D-brand skin for it. This D-brand skin has been on here the entire time I've had this phone. Because I had some cases that I purchased and they were kind of, and I dropped this phone a couple times too. I've had some cases that I purchased and they started to scratch the phone. And I was like, whoa, I don't want that. So I put a D-brand skin on it immediately. And this is how it has been since day one. So it's your man, Jay Will, hashtag underrated. I think so. Are there any other phones that you want to see me do a video on for underrated? Leave a comment down below and also tell me some of your phones that you feel like are underrated. Take care.